Hello, I'm Dave Hodgson and welcome to a programme which talks to local prominent personalities. Today my guest is Chaz Ball, who some of you will know already and the ones who don't soon will, if you see what I mean. Chaz, thank you. Looking back, you were a graduate and a businessman. In fact, you still are. What is your background?
Well, I've had a sort of rather unorthodox career in the sense that I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was at university, apart from one thing, which was to sort of follow things that I'm interested in and believe in. And I guess I've been lucky in the sense that I've always had a job and almost always had a job to do things that I felt were worthwhile.
Yeah, I must admit, when it comes to doing TV, I would do this as a volunteer for nothing, yes, let alone get paid. And it's so wonderful when you find a job that you just absolutely revel in and love, isn't it?
Yes, and I mean, there have been a couple of times in my life where I've had jobs with security,
yeah,
but I felt I'd get stuck. So
yes,
despite the pension, I've left.
You have this sort of tendency to live on the edge sometimes.
Just a bit, yes.
Okay. Background from education then, where did you graduate from?
I failed my 11 plus and was lucky enough to get a second chance to do what in those days were A-levels to get into university. I did a degree at Cardiff University, and then I spent a year as the student union president, so I got involved in a sort of sabbatical in student politics, yeah. Yes.
You've got strong connections with the Falkland Islands, I understand. How did that come about, and what were you doing there?
I mean, strong is a bit... I'm very interested in the Falkland Islands, and I was lucky enough to spend a year there nearly 50 years ago, before I went to university. I was an itinerant teacher doing voluntary service overseas, which was a great privilege, but also I think the sort of activity when you're 18, 19 that gives you a lot of personal confidence, and I really enjoyed it. And you've got to remember that in those days you were much more cut off than you would be today.
Yes.
Monthly mail drops, no telephones. And I would like to go back one day. I haven't been since I left.
It's on the to-do list,
It's on the to-do list.
Yes. You're a big champion of environmental issues. How do you think Kirklees are doing as an environmentally friendly borough?
I think there's quite a lot to live up to from recent years when we were living in a borough that was one of the leaders in local authority-led initiatives on things like the Warm Zone Plus initiative that insulated 60,000 houses, more than any other authority in the country. I think the record is diminished a bit more recently, partly because the resources to do these things are more limited, and possibly because it takes a certain type of political combination of circumstances to ensure that these really important things are prioritised. Mm-hmm. All I would say is when we've been talking with officers about the local plan, some of that is quite ambitious within the framework the government allows.
Yeah. The other side of that coin, though, of course, is that visits to your local recycling plant are now getting strictly limited. Are you not afraid that it might lead to illegal fly tipping out of desperation more than evil intent?
I mean, I think fly tipping is a really serious problem that we could do with more people being found out rather than getting away with it. But in some ways, I understand where the local authority is coming from, which is to create some sort of regulatory system that avoids people bypassing the trade waste system. They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Yes, yes.
But I think you need to use the right mixture of incentives and sticks and carrots to make this work.
Yeah. So what you seem to be telling me is marking out of 10, not bad, but could do better.
Yes, and if we had a lot of time, I would particularly want to look at the record on transport. And the current discussion that's going on about air quality, because the West Yorkshire Combined Authority, of which Kirklees is a part,
yes,
is still considering how to deal with the significant number of premature deaths that are caused by poor air quality, which affects Leeds more than Huddersfield, but it still affects Huddersfield, Batley and Dewsbury.
Hello and welcome to Purple Dog. We deliver first aid and health and safety training courses. We either do them in the classroom, online, or we can come to you. We make sure that you're legally compliant. On all our courses, well, they're fun, they are really enjoyable, and at the end of it you get a certificate.
They are very professional and thorough, and we make sure we know what we're doing before we go out and provide first aid to anyone that needs it.
It's a legal requirement for us to have a first aid trainer at work. I'm really looking forward to the course.
I came to Purple Dog for their first aid training because of their reputation, and I've heard that their courses are interactive and fun. If you're a parent or a grandparent, first aid training would be great because lots of accidents happen at home.
Contact us at purpledogltd.co.uk or 01484 546 780 or info@purpledogltd.co.uk.
However large or small your business, attracting new customers requires dedication and a lot of patience. Just like fishing, but you also need the right gear. Rods,
reels, lines, hooks, sinkers, lures, tackle box, tackle bag, net, bait, gas gloves, clothes, pocket knife, roach.
or you could simply advertise with KLTV. Online, grow your business and your clientele. KLTV, your vision made reality. Should have gone to KLTV.
Some people will know you because of your involvement in the Marsden Jazz Festival. What do you do and how did all this come about?
I'm not sure that lots of people know that I'm associated because I'm the recently.
You're the present incarnation.
I'm the new chair of the trustees.
Yeah.
The trustees are really behind the scenes, making sure that the organisation and the governance of the Jazz Festival is done effectively. But I mean, I've been an attender since about '95, and I've got the '96 T-shirt to prove it. And my wife's been involved in the volunteering side for about 4 years, and I just agreed to be chair of the trustees because I believe in the Jazz Festival, not just because of the music, but because of its contribution to the life of the community.
Yeah. So it's a love of music that takes you there. Are you a very hands-on chair or are you an admin chair?
I think I'm a believer in teamwork, but I'm also a believer, and I think we have great teamwork, we have great volunteers, great committee members, but also you must support the people who you employ. So we have a couple of people who work on it part-time or full-time, and that ultimately I'm their employer, so I've got, or their contractor, so we've got to be very careful.
Yeah, I can understand. It must be a nightmare in many respects because it's almost like running a company, isn't it? Well, in fact, it is running a company. But then you've been a businessman in some parts of your life, haven't you?
I have. I spent about 8 years running a for-profit company, and before that, about eight years running a not-for-profit company. And I think I would say I've been quite lucky in the sense that I've been in the voluntary sector and in the public sector and run businesses, and some of the businesses that I've been involved in work well because I understood what it was like in the other sectors, and that's quite unusual. And in the Jazz Festival world, I'm into some new things about how cultural events work from a financial point of view, but it wouldn't work without the tremendous amount of volunteer contributions. Let's remember
the
that.
unsung heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just lastly then, where do you stand on Brexit?
I'm very strongly for staying in the club that we joined, 40 years ago. We may have some minor differences, but I think we have ways of influencing and taking more of a leadership role. We've definitely benefited, and I suppose the fundamental question would be, how are we going to deal with the environment which knows no boundaries? How are we going to control big business which also knows no boundaries if we leave?
Understood. So looking towards the future, what do you see for our area? Or what would you like to see for our area?
I mean, I think there's a big question mark about the way in which our local services are funded. And, you know, we've been through a very difficult period which may continue in having insufficient resources to do the basic job, whether it's caring for vulnerable people. As someone who's getting older, then the health service is concerned to me. But I mean, I think there's a great spirit here, and people, you know, I think will sort of make it a place worth living, whatever happens. It's just the challenge of climate change is something I think we've got to see as an opportunity and not just a threat.
Chaz Ball, it's been a pleasure talking to you. So thanks very much to everybody on the news desk and the crew for setting this up for us. If you would like to make a comment on any of this, you certainly can. Email us info@theweeklywindup.com, on Facebook and on Twitter, #@theweeklywindup. Thank you for being with us. I'll be back with you in a couple of days' time with yet more news and topics. Until then, take care of yourself and goodbye for now.
Thank you.